Hi, everyone, and welcome to another conversation with another successful entrepreneurs. My name is Lorenzo De Leo. I am a general partner at Rocker, and today I'm here chatting with Ross from Kontinuous. How's it going, Ross?
Hi, very well, Lorenzo. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you so much for making the time. I really enjoy these chats with successful entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in the making, right? So like I really like the idea of sharing real stories of real people, real entrepreneurs, going through the whole process of becoming successful. So thank you so much, Ross. Your experience is very valuable. Let's just jump into it. I always ask my guests to introduce themselves first, because otherwise we get into like the company and the problem and the solution and this and that, the fundraising or whatever. So it's very important for me to give a good understanding of the people behind the business. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and who you are from a human perspective, and then we can discuss a little bit about your company and your career.
Yes, absolutely happy to do so. And that actually should lead quite nicely into why I started Kontinuous in the first place. So, hi, I'm Ross, the CEO of Kontinuous. Actually started off my career thinking I wanted to be a humanitarian. So did several internships with the UN and the World Economic Forum before joining Ernst & Young in London. And actually, after that, decided to either launch as a founder or part of the founding management team, 3 VC-backed businesses. One to exit, the 2 others are growing strong in the market today. And the pain point that I saw over those years was always the same. Fundraising was this frustratingly long chore that took a founder away from their business, typically at the most crucial point in their business. And I wanted to see whether we could solve that with security tokens, which is what has led me on to Kontinuous today. But also on the flip side, I've been fortunate enough to invest into a number of private businesses and saw the opportunity that security tokens could provide in offering liquidity prior to a liquidity event. And again, that's what led me on to Kontinuous today.
So I love, as you mentioned, because the business idea is actually the result of personal experience. And I think that these are the best companies because, when you feel the pain, when you see it and when you feel it, that's when you get more inspired, if you want, and you really, invest 100% of your soul in your company. So specifically, would you like to introduce a little bit like Kontinuous, how it works, the model, the type of use cases, or the value proposition, like what is Kontinuous and why is it so valuable?
Absolutely. So essentially, at the very basic level, we help brands raise capital continuously via the website. So what does that actually mean in practice? If a visitor to an SME's website sees an Invest Now button, and they're interested, they would click on that button and be able to invest permissionlessly into that business at any time. And what this allows you to do is, as a founder, is let your product and execution do the talking, and you just get on with running your business and let the fundraising take care of itself. And this is great for any type of founder, but if you look at the landscape, 99% of businesses are not attractive to VCs because they don't fit into the VC power law. And one of the businesses that we started very much was that type of business. So it was a D2C sports wearable brand, and always struggled to raise capital because we were never going to blitz scale to $1 billion in valuation. But if you look at that business now, 6-7 years down the line, millions in revenue, nearly 50 employees, very good business, and still continues to be, and actually has this fervent, amazing community around it who support the business and want to see it thrive, and very much dominates its niche. And what we're seeing in 2021 is to be a successful founder, certainly in the B2C space, you need to be community-led because this acts as a multiplier onto product-led growth. And what's the best way to be community-led? It's letting your community share in your financial upside. And one of the businesses that was the inspiration for us was a company called Brewdog, which is a craft beer company in the UK. That's actually had an invest button on their website over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and is able to raise over 100 million via this button to become a $2 billion business all over the world. And really, they went through a lot of complexity themselves to do that. What does it look like if we can offer a turnkey solution for businesses like Brewdog to do the same?
That's interesting. That's so cool. And the real disruptive aspect of your model, which is actually reflected by the name itself, Kontinuous, is that you're basically de-atomizing the fundraising process and making a smooth process. What I mean by de-atomizing is that, fundraising right now, or historically or traditionally, is based on very specific stages, and each stage has specific rules. Like, this is how you evaluate your company at this stage. This is the types of investor that you're supposed to talk to. These are the typical questions that they ask. And you need to know all of those rules if you want, because that's the standard. That's how people do it. And so this is what investors expect, right? So depending on the stage, you determine the strategy for that specific round. And on top of that, you need to have a strategy to define the sequence, let's say, of the fundraising rounds, right? So it's all about these rounds. The reality is that we don't work with rounds, right? A business is not in a stage that is kind of labeled specifically, and then it's not the next day. Like, it's a continuous evolution of the business. It's kind of like a transformation, and it's morphing, into something bigger. So the whole fundraising round strategy is an artificial invention that came up, I don't know exactly when, just because we needed to put order, if you want, and we needed to somehow determine the rules of the fundraising process, but it's an artificial thing. So you're kind of going back to what is natural. This is how companies are in real time. They're evolving constantly and smoothly, and that's how they are supposed to get financial support in the same way, right? So I really like philosophically, even the idea behind your company, and clearly, well, the execution is definitely the most exciting part. But I did want to talk about the idea, because sometimes we don't really realize why we're doing these things, and we're just used to the way that other people do it, but you have to kind of question what is the real essence of these things. So
correct. I mean, what we're seeing now, especially back in the old days, or let's say 10, 15 years ago, you had seed round, Series A, Series B. In this day and age, you've got pre-seed, seed, post-seed, pre-Series A. And what's happening is essentially you're always fundraising anyway. And actually, it's still very, very network driven. So if you wanted to build a business, again, 10, 15 years ago, the best thing you could do for your business is go to San Francisco and start to network and build up a name for yourself. In this day and age, especially during COVID, we've seen companies proliferate all around the world. And what does it look like if you don't have access to that investment community because your business is based in Hungary or Texas? What do you do then? And this really just promotes the fact that the most important part of any business is a community. And if you have that community and they believe and they want to see you succeed, then you should.
That's amazing. So this is something that was possible years ago, but now, thanks to the blockchain, it's definitely the right time to conceive and launch a business like yours, right? So blockchain, specifically Algorand, what is your relationship with that technology, and with Algorand specifically, how do you get into it? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We believe it's a fantastic use case of blockchain, because what blockchain enables is essentially access to a global pool of investors. And really, again, in 2021, your business tends to be global with customers all over. So that's number one. And the holy grail and the vision for the business is, can we make the private markets more akin to the public or crypto markets? And what we mean by that is more accessible, but also more transparent, and ultimately more liquid. And if we can achieve those three things in Europe, where we're based, and the area that we would like to own, then we can create a very meaningful business for ourselves, but also the businesses that we work with.
Yeah, no, that's I think the real essence of the blockchain. You know, a lot of people are still trying to figure out what are the right applications, if you want, beyond crypto. Crypto is obvious, but clearly the blockchain has a bigger potential, and this is an amazing example, right? Everything that is related to tokenization and you know, democratizing access to asset classes that were not available before. I think that that's a perfect use case for the blockchain.
Especially because access is really, okay, as a founder, can you get access to capital? But actually, as an investor, can you get access to that founder?
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
where the
it's mutual.
democratization comes in, because you're catering to the 99% on both sides.
Exactly. So Ross, we're doing this because, you know, we are promoting the Algorand Miami Accelerator. We have this program and we are recruiting companies officially from Miami, East Coast, and Latin America. In reality, any good company is welcome to apply. We are just looking for talented teams with great ideas, great potentials. So everybody is welcome to apply. You've been through it, right? It was not in Miami, it was in Europe. But can you tell us a little bit about that experience? And to me, the most important thing, I would like the audience to somehow understand not only how it works, but most importantly, the impact that a program such the Algorand Miami Accelerator can have on their businesses. So how would you describe your company before, when you applied, what happened, you know, during the program, and where are you now?
Absolutely. So the Algorand Europe Accelerator was frankly transformational for our business. We joined very early on at the ideation stage. The accelerator was the first piece of outside funding that we received, and allowed us to really get going with the business with a whole suite of mentors surrounding us. And that was ultimately one of the largest benefits to us from my perspective. So we were given 3 top quality mentors who were highly relevant, but also we were able to speak unofficially to another 4 or 5 during the program. So everyone is connected to this Algorand community, which is very fervent if you're a believer in Algorand. And that was one of the main benefits, but actually also the program itself was very high quality. And what I mean by that is that actually there was a thoughtful weekly process to reach our goals leading up to demo day. So we put together a plan. We were held accountable weekly on execution, and that was beneficial to us as we were ramping up towards demo day. And frankly, actually, the quality as well of the other startups on the program was very high too. So what that enabled us to do was create a network of founders building compliant blockchain solutions in Europe. So for example, we were on the same program as Stoker and ZLT.
Super. So when you apply, you say you were at an idea stage, like you had this concept, you had identified this opportunity, and so basically you use the accelerator to build it, right?
To accelerate the business, yes, in the very essence of the word. So we were pre-product, pre-revenue at the idea stage. At that time, there were 3 of us in the business, and Algorand essentially brought our business to life. From a technical perspective as well, so Agash, my co-founder and CTO, I believe the technical support was very well received on his end. So you get access to Algorand directly through the accelerator, and this is a huge benefit.
Awesome. But going back to what you were saying, it actually goes beyond technology. And I think that that was an important thing that you mentioned, because yes, it is an accelerator focused on blockchain companies, right? But the emphasis is not only on the blockchain component, it's also on the company component. And a company, no matter what technology it uses, still needs, let's say, traditional support. Like, how do you put together a team? How do you manage a team? How do you, manage employees or investors or clients or distributors or whatever? How do you grow the company? How do you scale it? Do you go international, right? How do you market your company? And how do you go through the fundraising process? So those are all aspects that are key. And I really like the idea of the program to be so comprehensive, so that yes, technology is the number one thing that we're going to address. Clearly, we're going to have access to all of the team members, the people from Algorand, so you have access directly to the Algorand team to answer your questions. But we're also going to focus on all of the other super important areas to make sure that by the demo day, you're actually well prepared, right? In a comprehensive way, 360 degrees. And so I guess that's the the important benefit of the program. And the other thing that you mentioned, like access to the community, like this is not only about us or the instructors or the mentors, is actually the other companies, and the extended Algorand community in general. This is something that I think I've been saying this in a couple of webinars already, but I think that that's something that you don't really see from the outside. When you talk about Algorand, usually you understand the benefits from a tech perspective, but you don't really understand what you can expect from the community. There is a lot of support. There's a lot of people sharing information, sharing stories like the one that you're sharing with us today, and just offering help, right, at any level. Not only investors, but also like tech people, but also like strategists, but also UX UI people. And so that's, I guess, the real added value of a program like this. It's just like getting into a very engaged community. So
I mean, the word here is community, right? So we should all be living our lives with the notion that we're only as good as the people we surround ourselves with. But actually, that's very true for your business as well. And again, one of the main reasons we're building Kontinuous is that once people are invested into your business, they want to see you succeed. They want to offer your help. So actually, version 0.1 of Kontinuous was our initial round, which actually ended up having over a dozen investors in it. And I think something like 9 of those investors actually came from the Algorand community. And they're experts in financial services or marketing, or have actually built a security token business in the UK or in the US, or they've launched a regulated blockchain business in the US. So very, very helpful to have that community supporting us. And that would never have happened without the accelerator itself.
Ross, anything else you would like to add, like some, I don't know, recommendations for these entrepreneurs that are considering applying, or any like final thoughts you would like to share?
If you're building on Algorand, and you should be, then this accelerator is a no-brainer. You should absolutely do it. And if you do end up working with Roca, I'd be more than happy to support the businesses that you guys work with during the accelerator, if I can be helpful.
No, absolutely. You know that we count on you, and it's going to be great actually to have you involved in this new program. But so I thank you for that, and I also thank you for your time today. Again, like I think that we tend to underestimate the importance of these success stories. Like the impact that we can have on people who are kind of like thinking, should I do it? Maybe is it for me? Maybe yes, maybe no. And in your case, like when you apply, you only had an idea, and look at you right now. Like I think that this is very meaningful for a lot of people. So thank you so much for your time. Happy to have you like in our community, and see you in the Algorand Miami Accelerator.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo. Best of luck.
Thank you, Ross.